Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 46 of Podfluxxx. And Ricky, I've got a surprise for you.
Oh no.
Oh no is right. I have watched less than 30 seconds of wrestling this week.
Oh
And
boy.
normally I'm the guy who watches the wrestling and then we talk about the wrestling. However, this week I decided, nah, I'm good. However, I have been watching Twitter. And I think just with watching what's been going on in social media
Yeah.
between you and I, we should be able to get through this and make it sound half-assed like we know what we're talking about. So, you with me?
Sure.
What would you like to start with?
I guess we could start with some WWE stuff if we have anything.
Really? All right. So, did you catch anything from The Rock and the Bloodline of last week?
Well, that they had made the tag match, right? Official with the stipulations and all that nonsense.
So, when is this tag match going to occur?
It's supposed to be night 1, right? Which is setting up for night 2.
So if they do the tag match on night 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think we get some type of miscommunication between Rock and Roman, which leads to a screwy finish on night 2 for the main event?
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm having a hard time trying to figure this out because I feel like The Rock leaned into the heel persona awfully quick
Right.
and leaned in pretty hard with it, right? With wearing the shirts and the sunglasses or whatever.
First of all, it looks like he robbed LA Knight's closet. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
go ahead.
But I mean, I feel like that it's like too much, you know how they like to like overly do it to really make a point. I don't know if is it for The Rock to turn on Roman, or is he really going to be doing this for the next however long he's there and then eventually wrestle Cody? And then is that supposed to be like the passing of the torch, like Cody's the guy? So I don't know. It feels forced to me because
Excuse me, did
he's
you say it feels forced in you?
not in me.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No. Are you duking on my chest right now? Um uh no, it feels just like I don't know. I don't because like it went from he was going to be a heel, then the very next week he started wearing the shirts, and I don't know. It feels like it's too much too fast for this for no real reason. I guess I'm having a hard time getting behind The Rock in this situation. Like I don't believe him. I still believe the Roman and Cody situation that they hate each other. Like when I watch it, I think, okay, I feel like they don't like each other. Like that's how I feel when they're um when they're talking and interacting and looking at each other. I feel like they hate each other. So I'm with their match. I'm with their story. I don't buy The Rock at all in this. He sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Um, I guess I kind of relate in a way where remember when Kevin Nash talked about starting the NWO with Scott Hall, that they were going to be real and that they were going to tell you how it is. And then he kind of shit on when Hogan came on. He was still, well, you know something, brother.
Yeah.
And they were like, this isn't what we really want. This is how I feel when I see Roman and then I hear The Rock talking. I feel
Yeah.
like The Rock is playing The Rock and Roman is kind of like, that's not really what this whole bloodline thing was supposed to be about. It wasn't supposed to be like I'm gonna be cheesy and shit on the hometown everywhere we go kind of heat. It's just Roman's got heat and he brings it everywhere he goes type of thing. I just think there's different levels of being over right now.
I I agree, and it's odd because normally when The Rock comes out and acts like a baby face, that's when I feel he's the most disingenuous, and like I don't believe him. Like I don't believe he's that good of a person or he's that nice of a guy. When he just happens to have a camera crew with him everywhere he goes when he's giving out trucks. Like I feel like on the face of it, The Rock is a phony.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But what I'm saying is in this scenario as a heel, he's phony. I don't mind, like I always think he's phony. When he
Yes.
did the thing with Goldberg in '02 or '03, whenever it was,
Mhm.
that's when I thought, okay, he's complete Hollywood
Yes.
acting. I didn't think that from that time and on, I did not buy The Rock anymore. Like I don't buy him as a good guy or a bad guy. I just feel that in
Where
this
I was
scenario,
going,
mm,
where I was going with this is The Rock as a heel feels way more disingenuous
yes,
than Rock as a babyface.
correct, yes,
Uh the only thing I believe from his mouth as a heel right now is when he's ripping on people in the stands. Come
yeah,
here, let me slap the herpes off your face, like because
yeah,
I genuinely believe that The Rock probably doesn't like people.
right,
Because let's be real, who likes people?
yeah. No,
Nobody likes people.
nobody likes him.
That's the only stuff I buy. I also really wish that they did not course correct this whole thing when the fans got their feelings hurt about it. Because I think that if Roman would have beat Rock clean at WrestleMania, it would have meant more for Cody Rhodes to beat Roman at SummerSlam. And the reason I think that is because he's beat everybody from the modern generation, right?
Right,
He's beat John Cena, who
yeah,
was the biggest star of the current generation. And then if you add beating The Rock, the megastar of the previous generation, to this, that all makes for a historic run for Roman Reigns and an even more historic win for Cody when he
correct,
beats the guy that beat everybody.
right, right,
And now we're going to end up getting a screwy, oh, thank God for The Rock kind of a finish on
yeah,
night 2 on WrestleMania,
yeah.
and it's going to make Roman's loss and Cody's win look
Tarnished,
less than,
right,
which I can't stand.
right. Yeah, I'm not buying. Ever since The Rock got put into this thing, I'm not liking it. Um, I was very if and I'm with you. I think Punk was supposed to win the Rumble, like you said. Once I like the next day after you had mentioned it, I was revisited that scenario and I thought, okay, that clearly to me, yes, that's what was supposed to happen. And then they should have just kept going with, you know, Cody and Roman. I can only imagine The Rock was like, I could get involved in this and make it better.
Yeah.
I mean, like, um, and since he's kind of in a power position, they were all like, okay, here's one of those Vince McMahon changed everything, and we're all gonna just nod and agree because we all got mortgages to pay. So I feel like it was put in and it just don't fit. It's it's just awkward when he's out there. I don't like it. I feel like at the end of this WrestleMania, Roman is going to be the biggest loser of this whole thing because of since the Rumble and the Rock entry into this, it just doesn't help him.
Yeah, but I mean, I also feel coming out of this WrestleMania, even after he wins, Cody wins, and I feel like he is going to walk away from this uh in the least advantageous position because people aren't going to care that Cody beat Roman. They're
Right.
immediately going to be talking about what are we doing for Roman and Rock? Are we building Roman and Rock till next WrestleMania? Then Cody's already an afterthought.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
then it's now we're about to be in a position of you know what's next or now what and then
Right.
what.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that last year or even up until 2 or 3 months ago the and then what was figured out, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure it is now.
Right. We'll have more questions after this WrestleMania than we did last WrestleMania for
Right.
sure. I'm not. Yeah, like I said, I'm not liking. I wouldn't have minded The Rock popping in here and there, but they kind of forced him into this whole
Mhm.
storyline, and it again, it's like a square peg into a round hole, and you keep trying and trying, and it's like, oh, we got to get him in here somehow, and it's like you really didn't. If he would have popped in, made an appearance here and there, kept it short and sweet, that's one thing. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I understand. I'm not an idiot. I know why they wanted to do it because
Right.
it's The Rock, right? And you're thinking like every town now gets to see him, right? So every city they go to, it's like, holy shit, we got to go because The Rock's going to be there. I was talking to a person at the gym the other day, and he was going to go to Dallas just because he thought, well, shit, I might see The Rock. Like that was his whole point to go see SmackDown, was he thought that he might be able to see The Rock live, and I realized, okay, I get it. But you could have did that with, next week or in 2 weeks, we'll actually hear from The Rock, and then people could, and then you could have made it like that instead of having, I don't know, instead of trying to force them into the story. It just feels not organic. Like when Roman says something to Cody and Cody gives his like slow reaction or the looks that they give each other, I can buy into that. I'm like, okay, I really do feel like these guys don't really care for each other all that much. When The Rock's in there, I don't know, it's too rehearsed, it's too, rock-ish, it's too much. I don't know.
Well, night one has 57,678 tickets sold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It says that the current setup is for 60,000, so they're right there. But I was expecting for there to be nothing available for WrestleMania at this point when you've got The Rock involved and the type of roster that we've got. So I'm kind of a little surprised that WrestleMania seats are still available at this juncture.
Right.
Night two has sold more. It's got 58,978 sold.
Yeah.
So people may be more interested. Well, it's not fair because they just announced the tag match, but I think people are already conditioned to think that night two was going to be the bigger night
Right.
for WrestleMania
Yes.
because
Yes.
WrestleMania Sunday. What do you want to do now? Do you want to switch gears a little bit and start talking about the dipshittery across the street, or?
Yeah, I don't really have any other. Nothing else in WWE is shocking me. You know, it's like you can kind of, at least when you're in the business, you can kind of see how they're laying everything out, right? Like the Orton Logan Paul thing and all this stuff gets planted so early that I think we can all see it coming. But I mean, the ticket sales are still going to be great. You know, they're still going to make a ton of money. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, WrestleMania tickets go for way more than, you know, house show in Allentown, right? So the money that they're going to make on those gates back to back nights is going to be insane, you know.
Right.
So I know that it looks like there's only going to be 60, but you're talking about the people that travel around the world to come see WrestleMania. So I'm looking forward to reading like what that week generates, you know, in that city, because they'll do Raw Monday at the Wachovia Center, and again, that'll be it'll be clearly sold out because that's what only like 15,000 I think they'll put in there. So, you know, it's more about the bottom line for when it comes to WrestleMania, like just how much how much hundreds of millions of dollars that they pull in one week in one state. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you ask any real diehard fan of professional wrestling, the last thing they want to see is, you know, a TV show with so much talk on it and bright, colorful entrance ways, and you know, wrestling should be gritty and dark and, you know, solid colors.
Hmm.
And then AEW Dynamite completely rebranded their shit to look just like the NXT 2.0 stage setup theme that everybody was dumping on 2 years ago. Did you see any of this?
No. What?
Okay. They changed the logo and it's just a barrage of colors. And they changed Dynamite, you know, the font, the way it's spelt out. They changed the set. The set is now two big, colorful tunnel ways that everybody comes out of. So basically, it looks like uh, a mixture between NXT 2.0 and something superstar Billy Graham would award of the ring while he was managing Don Morocco. And that is what their television show looks like. Now, I got a text message from you this Wednesday, right? You recall texting me on Wednesday night?
Yeah.
That you were very upset that Okada made his AEW debut. And I wasn't watching, and I immediately went to Twitter to start see what people were saying. And there were at the current moment there was little to no buzz about it on Twitter. And as time went on, it started picking up buzz, and then I started blatantly asking people on Twitter, was this advertised?
Right.
And nobody would respond.
Right.
On the dirt sheet Twitters, is this advertised?
Right.
I asked Uncle Dave, was this advertised? All these big, stupid AEW glorified fan page accounts that were raving that this was the greatest thing to ever happen on TV. Was this advertised? And it was like they discussed it beforehand that they were not to answer this question.
Yeah.
Nobody could answer if this was advertised. And Ricky, do you know what the ratings were for AEW Dynamite this week on the debut of Okada?
No, I don't.
You don't.
No.
Would you believe me if I said that they were under 1 million?
Yes.
Would you believe me if I said that they were under 900,000?
Yes.
Would you believe me if I told you that they were under 800,000?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to get the data right here, right now. But the Okada AEW debut ratings were in the 700,000s.
That's about what they've been holding there for quite some time, I think now.
Okay, so what I want to know, Tony Khan has gone out of his way, right, to make all of these big debuts for all these peoples that he thinks are a big stars, right?
Right.
CM Punk got the first dance. Mercedes Monet is getting the big business, which we're gonna get into later because they should have called that the small business.
Huh.
Uh the Will Ospreay signing they announced, and all the stuff that they've done ahead of time for all these other people, and then you have a real, genuine, bona fide star from New Japan Pro Wrestling coming to your TV show, to your company, and you surprise him in a debut you debut him in a surprise and nobody watches it. How do you
He
not advertise the debut of Okada?
I don't know. I mean, he's an idiot. So again, in a run-in situation, you debut another big time signing, right? Can we go down the list here of run-in debuts?
I would love to.
Adam Cole,
Yes.
Roderick Strong,
Right.
Bryan Danielson,
Mm-hmm.
Jay White,
Yep.
and now Okada. Probably a couple more.
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
Okay. I believe Matt Hardy's debut was a run-in, but it was a run-in by his drone.
Okay.
His
Even
drone
better.
made a save.
Right.
Uh,
Makes sense.
mhm.
But again,
Moxley's debut was a run-in at the end of the first pay-per-view.
that's right. The jog down the steps gently,
Mm-hmm.
run in. Right. So there you go. Like, if everyone's a surprise, you have no surprises, right? Isn't that
Right.
what I think Cornette said it about going to ECW? Oh, we need a surprise because every time we're here, we do a surprise. And he says, you don't have any more surprises. Like,
Right.
if everyone's waiting for it, right? It's like the old, the bad WCW or bad TNA when something happens in the ring and everyone kind of looks to the entrance, right? I
Yep.
mean, that's what they've trained their audience to. So yeah, they're screwing it up left and right as you would expect from somebody who's just a money mark to be writing a television show. But yeah, it makes no sense. I always think back to when I was doing some darks for WWE, and I think it was 2006 or something, and they were getting ready to debut Alberto Del Rio, and then they would play the vignettes, very similar to like Carlito.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing constant vignettes, and I remember being in the arena, and Del Rio wasn't there, but they played his vignette like during a commercial break. The lights went down, and then boom, his vignette played, and the whole place started booing by the end of the vignette, So I thought, man, he's a made man. He hasn't even stepped foot onto the stage yet, and I just thought, like, if you did that for 4 to 6 weeks, knowing that this person's coming, you would have got closer to 1 million people to see, okay, let's see him. And then more importantly, what's he going to do? Who's he going to be in line with? what side is he on, and I don't know. These guys, they just don't know what they're doing, man. And they're messing up wrestling 101 type psychology here, like in a big way. And in the wrestling 101 psychology, that's what makes people want to pay money to see your product and like tune in the next week, and they're just going against the grain because they think, oh, this is the way we do things. There's a reason why people constantly do the same thing, because it works.
Right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. How simplified were the angles that we used to run? Once we heard somebody was getting over, we would say, hey, we got to give him a better match next month. Let's put him in this situation. He's getting over. Let's get him more over. The end. Literally writing on a piece of paper with a pen, the pencil with an eraser, like, no, put that there, put this here. Okay, that's the show, Oh, we sold out again.
And then he gets over. And then what? And then he's over.
Everyone got over.
Right.
The end. Like, Jesus.
Right. Finished. Finito. Complete.
That's it. Like, I don't get it. But they're doing it because, they want to quote unquote do it. This is our wrestling show. We're going to do it our way. Well, your way's the wrong way.
Here's their ultimate cop out. There's a phrase from the fandom of AEW that you see everywhere. And it's, well, this AEW isn't about making money. Money's not the most important thing. It's not the driving factor. AEW isn't about money. It's a business.
Right.
Well, if it wasn't about making money, then the website wouldn't be AEWwrestling.com. It'd be AEWwrestling.org, and they'd be, a nonprofit organization purposefully.
They're doing it wrong, and they don't want to, and they've created it, so they're just going to keep it in-house and whatever. It's not done well. It's not done right. They're not doing things correctly. I don't care what any fucking nerd says out there. They've never had to rely on this business to pay their bills, so they don't understand it. But at the end of the day, if Tony Khan is going to pay everybody money and everyone's going to keep taking it, then good for them. Because rumors are, did you see how much his contract was?
Yes.
Like $13 million over 3 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was like 3.5 a year or something like that, right?
3.5 a year. And if that's, if that's what it is, then great. Obviously go get it, and then I'm just counting every day that goes by. It's a day closer till he comes back to New Japan. So I'm just sitting here.
I've got some breaking news here.
Oh boy.
I've got Dynamite on in the background. Brian Cage is coming to the ring. He is not dressed as Sting, but he is wearing a cape with popped collars.
What?
He's got face paint like Wolverine scratches over one eye. And his ring gear is like ridiculous looking X-Men cosplay. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. And he's about to do a job to Hook. So there's that.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Well, anyway, we were saying,
Okada,
you definitely being an actual star.
Why would you want to go to NXT to learn how to be a good wrestler and make millions off that $1 million body you got there? Cosplay Wolverine.
Somebody on Twitter the other day put up a picture of Okada, his debut, and him staring at the hard cam. And the guy wrote, "You mean he didn't have to move to Florida and work out in a warehouse for 4 months to learn how to find the hard cam? So I politely responded, I guess not. Maybe we should send their fan base to Florida to figure out how to work out a TV remote because these people aren't watching.
Yeah.
So they don't advertise Okada, okay? Which tells
Nope.
me that they don't think that he's as big of a star as Sasha Banks was or is or CM Punk's was or is,
Right.
and they don't think he's that big of a deal because if by not advertising by not advertising him, you're telling me that he's not going to be a draw for you. You don't consider him a draw. He
Right.
can't possibly pop a number. Because if
Correct.
you thought that he could, you would have advertised him. So now the person who I'm pretty sure is going to be the highest paid, if not one of the highest paid on your roster, you couldn't tell me 2 weeks ago was going to be on TV.
Right.
Or are they afraid to advertise a star like this ahead of time and then get the same result they did?
Well, how does it hurt them to advertise?
Okay.
It hurts them. It hurts them only to not. And why are they so worried about another 100? I mean, maybe they'll get another 100,000, viewers if they
It's
would have
not the
advertised.
viewers, it's the truth. I
Yeah.
think they're afraid that if
Yeah.
they advertise something like this
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 weeks and only 700,000 people show up to watch it, then they've got to face the reality that, that everyone thinks they're the shits.
Right.
If you don't advertise it and only 700,000 people show up, you can just go, oh, we did our normal number considering we didn't advertise it, and you don't have to admit anything to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I look back to when was it AEW was on Tuesday night and they advertised like the Undertaker and every for NXT, remember? And they went
Yeah.
head to head, and everybody was like for a week, oh, Undertaker didn't draw a million people. Like that was
On
the big,
FS1.
yeah, like that was the big win for this for AEW nerds. Who cares? You bring in a star, you should advertise them at least 4 weeks out. Build up some sort of hype. I don't know, even to their fans that maybe have heard of them, seen them a couple of times, and then thought, oh man, this guy's coming in. And then you could have a couple of top stars every now and again, throw a line in there, and how do you feel about Okada starting here? They kind of hyping it up throughout the show, but they're not doing it. So it's just fucking stupid.
Have you seen one of the matches announced so far for AEW Dynasty, the April pay-per-view?
The Ospreay and Bryan
Yes.
That's the only one I've seen.
Okay, that's the one I'm talking about. In seeing the advertisement or even the way that they got into this match, I'm curious if you thought initially what I thought. What are your initial thoughts on seeing an Ospreay Danielson match advertised at this juncture of Ospreay's AEW run?
I'm thinking that they think Ospreay's the guy. Because they're giving him every opportunity to just unload his tool bag out there for everyone to see everything right away. I mean, it'll be a good match, obviously, right? Because, I mean, for as much as Ospreay wants to do, Brian's going to know where to put it.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm excited for the match. Like you said, you liked the Takeshita Osprey match, and you were excited to see what they do next, and with Osprey, which is fine. But if we're just gonna keep having matches where guys are like hugging and shaking hands just to have the 5-star match thing, so Osprey can get 97 5-star matches before this year's over, then what? The people want to see the spectacle that is Osprey, not Osprey himself. It's much like when Seth Rollins' song, everybody was singing his song. I remember Shane Helms tweeted like, "He's over," and then I replied, "The song is over." Like, there's a difference between singing the song because they like doing that, and when the glass shattered, people losing their fucking minds because guess who's coming? There's a big difference, So I don't know. I mean, the spectacle that is Osprey will be good for now, but how much longer until we're kind of tired of seeing the same kick out of every goddamn move under the sun,
Well, here's my initial thought when I saw them going immediately
to
to
Brian.
Osprey and Brian.
Right.
Is they're going to hotshot Will Osprey through everything that could possibly draw money for the next 2 years as fast as they possibly. They're gonna run him through 2.5 years of good booking in 9 months. And then we're gonna be stuck with now what?
Well, it's the same situation. I don't know if you remember, but TNA threw Joe and Kurt together kind of right away.
Immediately.
And I remember Joe had something wrong with his knee and was talking about he had to put surgery off because he was told that he needed to do this match now. And I thought that was stupid, like, because it did their best numbers and then they were done with it. And then it did their best numbers, but what could that have done for you 6 to 9 months later?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking was like, oh, we got a quote unquote dream match list. Osprey's all by himself on the right, and then you're gonna line up 7 or 8 guys on the left, and then we're just gonna check them off before this year's over. With no story, with no why,
Just for the record, the Will Osprey match was the only match on Revolution 2024 that Dave Meltzer rated 5 stars or above. I thought he was going to give everybody 11 across the board, but turns out, Takeshita and Osprey was what he thought was the best match of the night also. So, all right, and then I want to get into a little bit of AEW's small business. I was looking at the ticket sales on WrestleTix on Twitter this week, and they are 3 days until the show.
Yes.
Okay, and they've announced a major lineup for this episode of Dynamite. And they've still just barely broke 7,000 tickets distributed.
We have to keep in mind here. This is a building that'll hold 19,600. And it's going to be using by showtime, let's say 8,000 seats. Right? Not even half.
Well, let's get into the lineup here. We're gonna have Chris Jericho and Hook versus the Gates of Agony. Do you even know who that is? Or you're just gonna nod.
Just nodding. Don't know.
They're the two Nana's two Samoan guys.
Okay. I wrestled one of those guys, the jacked up one.
Yeah, the one
Khan.
that the Haku looking one, the big
Uh,
afro,
no.
the long.
The one with the dreads.
Oh, okay,
Khan.
the kite. Yeah,
Khan. Yeah,
yeah,
I
the
wrestled.
tight cut one. All right, so we got Jericho and Hook versus the Gates of Agony, which is as far as I can tell, is a match just made off of Jericho making a save in the Brian Cage Hook FTW match.
Oh, wow.
Then we got Willow Nightingale versus perennial favorite Riho.
Oh God. What? Willow
Darby Allin
Nightingale.
versus
Willow
huh?
Nightingale. Willow Nightingale is not. They are not in the same weight division. Is that correct?
Correct.
Um.
It's an X Division match.
Right. So, I wonder how Riho is going to pull this one out. This should be interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a main event in any basement in America.
Right.
So then we're gonna have Darby Allin versus your boy Jay White. For what? I don't know. For what reason? Unbeknownst to me.
So, so Darby got all the glass out of his shoulder, so he's good to go.
I guess so.
All right.
Then we're gonna have Eddie Kingston versus Pento El Zero Mera and Pac, who came back, I believe, for Collision this week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Versus the Bucks and Okada. And then I'm assuming main event for the AEW World Title, we're gonna have Samoa Joe versus Wardlow.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What was that big build up? Because didn't Joe just have a match 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, but Wardlow's been big mad for a couple of weeks here.
Oh no, my goodness.
Yeah, super mad. He's been cutting promos. Did you see the one promo where he accidentally buried the company he worked for?
Nope.
He said something to the effect of like, they strapped a rocket ship to my back, but the idiot who put it on me strapped it upside down. And the people in charge should be fired for the way that I've been booked and this, that, the next thing. So I love like AEW, they send their guys out to do these great shoot promos.
Yeah.
And as soon as one of them gets the chance, they bury AEW.
Right. They don't have any other material except what's really going on.
Right. So we're going to get Wardlow and Joe. Now, I know we didn't talk about it, but the Okada thing. Well, let's keep going on the Sasha Banks thing. What do you think? What the hell are these people going to do?
I don't know. You can't even, like, it's too frustrating to try to think about what they're going to do because it doesn't make any sense. So anything that we're going to come up with would be the best case scenario or what you could do to build off of, right? So who the fuck knows? She may jog out to the ring, trip and fall like Titus O'Neil, slide under the fucking ring and never be seen again. So I don't know what they're going to do. What they should have been doing was, since they announced that Sasha Banks will be there, or whatever her name is, and what is she here? What she's coming, she'll be in the TD Garden, but for what? Let's all tune in to see what she has to say. Then she can say, hey, I'm all elite. I'm getting a lot of money for doing very little work. Yay me. Or I'm coming for the title or something. But they didn't do that. So they have a hometown girl that's going to debut, right, in the new company that's paying her around $2 to $3 million a year to work very part-time. And at some point say, y'all don't know what you're doing. I'm going back to WWE. And then I'm going to feud with Charlotte. Like, I don't know. Like, so who the fuck knows what they're doing?
It's just like, it's so weird the way they set these things up. And then it's just like, the execution of same. It's because like it's like, okay, well, this person's gonna be here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
what are they doing?
Right.
And with who? Like she's gonna show up there and somebody's gonna this is how it's gonna go. It's gonna be like, oh, Mercedes Monet, she's gonna come out, she's gonna cut a promo, I'm all elite, and then somebody's gonna come out and be mad about it.
Right.
But why? And
Yes.
who?
Correct. Well, whoever can take her finisher right. It probably one of the girls that's been. It could be Statlander for no reason.
Yeah.
Like for no reason. Like, hey, why are you here? Did you park in my parking spot? I'll see you next week.
Yep.
Like, that's
bitch.
it. Yeah, bitch. Like, yeah,
Bitch.
whatever F-bomb or whatever they want to drop because they're mean, right? If you're mean,
Right.
you gotta say something bad, hurt someone's feelings. I don't it again. If I try to think about this, I'm gonna be thinking logically. So think the opposite, and that's what's gonna happen that week. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad because we need AEW to do better. We really do. Because as hot as WWE is, right? They could be benefiting off of that popularity as well, but they are not. They are not.
Well,
I don't
the
care
old
what anybody says. WWE is so far number one in the world right now that AEW could be 10th. It's still the same distance away in the rankings. It's just and it's frustrating because I know people there and I wish they were doing better. And I don't know how many times I wanted to text somebody, hey, you doing bad job, do better, and it's annoying and frustrating.
Well, listen, there's the old saying that rising tides raise all ships, right?
Right.
So with WWE doing so well and independent wrestling doing so well because of that,
Right.
how come the success of WWE in this current quote unquote wrestling boom is translating to everyone except for AEW?
Because where WCW when they first were bought out wanted to be WWE light
Mm-hmm.
and do similar. AEW is going the opposite direction and doing what WWE is not doing on purpose
Right.
because they think they know their way works. But their way worked in Reseda in front of 400 people, every 2 months. So that is why they're not grasping it because they're not willing to jump on board and say, okay, we need a guy like Samoa Joe to tell us what to do all the way through the show. I'm sure Joe's just showing up. Here's what you're doing, and he'll make the best of what he's got to do.
Cash pays, check, and go home.
But let's be honest. Is he sitting down in these meetings, dumping all his emotion and everything into the entire show? No. He has no stake in it. He's doing what he's doing, and that's it. But that's
Also,
why it's not
he's
working for.
he's been jacked around for the last 20 years, so he's finally got a paycheck that he knows he's going to be in a spot.
Yeah.
It's going to clear every week, and they're going to put him on TV every week, not doing commentary in the ring.
Right.
So, you know what? I'm going to show up here. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to get my money. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do it next week.
I'm telling you right now, like, again, if you'd have put the top guys contracts where they had some sort of incentive for the company to do well, this would not look like the shit show that it is, I mean, Jericho would be the top of the list of that. Like, look at how ridiculous he has gotten since getting to AEW. He don't care. Why would he? He didn't act like that in WWE at all. There was a reason for it, you know. So Joe's protecting Joe, doing just enough to get by for what he needs to do. Brian's there to have fun and, you know, hang out with his buddies once a week. I mean, none of these guys are taking this shit seriously. This is a paid show that we're all just showing up to, for someone's birthday party. We're going to go out and do haha, and then we're all going to go home. I mean, it is what it is,
It's haha and grab ass with your buddies. It's tickle butt.
Yeah, I mean, and it's shitty because there's some of the guys there that haven't been to the top of that mountain yet, right? I mean, there's a lot of guys that, all the ex WWE guys are looking at it like this is easy money. I'm doing a third of the work and I'm getting paid twice as much as I ever did. Look at a guy like Neville or Pac, right? There's a guy who would bust his ass every night in WWE, right? 250 nights a year. He's been at home for like 6 months, just working out and not tanning. And he pops in, still making the same money and doing what he does. But he's been to WWE. He's done that, right? But then you look at a guy like Wardlow, who deserves that type of, opportunity to be in WWE. And even he'll tell you, oh, these idiots don't know what the fuck they're doing in a promo, and these morons will play it. Instead of having somebody say, hey man, don't say that shit. You know what I mean? Like, don't do the bad Wardlow, go say better things. But they don't care, dude. They just don't care. This is a fucking clown show now.
Did you see the highlight or the low light, should I say, of Deonna Purrazzo dropping Madison Rayne on the top of her head 2 weeks ago?
Yes. Yeah. I did not. So she was trending at one point and I thought, why? So I never looked at it, but then everybody was complaining about how she, somebody else got hurt and somebody else almost broke their neck. And I thought, from what? And then I saw it. Yeah. But it was bad.
Did you see that did you know that they replayed it as like the sponsored move of the night? Like, remember how WCW used to have the Valvoline high impact? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, Nestle Quick Crunch Bar move of the night. There's your spine, bitch.
Yeah. Did you see that our friend, that one Mr. Jim Cornette trended this week over his comments on Darby Allin?
I saw him trending, but I didn't know exactly what it was for.
Okay, the first review from Revolution that they put out on their YouTube, was him reviewing the Sting and Darby Allin match.
So the glass spot, I guess.
Of course. He was basically like, quote unquote, Darby Allin is the biggest fucking moron that ever existed on this planet, and like, if I knew him, I'd slap the shit out of him for being such a moron. And people equated, Cornette did the same thing when he took the bump from the scaffold in Night of the Skywalkers, is what people are saying.
That's not the same at all, but okay. Right.
So they're saying that him landing on his feet and blowing out his knees was more dangerous than the bump that Darby Allin took. But again, when you face these people with reality,
right?
Because I then posed the question to somebody: have you ever heard of Perro Aguayo Jr.?
Yeah.
Because shit happens, right?
Yeah.
And had Darby Allin gotten severely injured or worse,
Right.
who's the heat on?
Right.
Is it because Darby fucked up, or is the heat on the promotion for allowing him
For allowing it. Right.
to do such a thing? What if Owen didn't fall? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and then, but when you hit them with logic,
Yeah.
again, they don't answer
No.
because they haven't considered that far.
Right.
So what I like to look at right now in reality is what if Darby Allin would have been seriously hurt or worse, even killed with that bump? Then what?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. Like every time they have a show or a big show, I'm worried about that. I really am. Same thing with that kid on Ring of Honor a couple years ago, WrestleMania weekend, that turned his ankle around trying to be Sid Vicious out there, you know, taking a
Right.
destroyer through a bunch of tables on a Ring of
From
Honor paper.
Penta.
Yeah, on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view with 500 people watching, you know. I mean, the intention is good. I get it. I mean, there was stuff in Lucha Underground that I was in the locker room and I didn't agree with, you know. One in particular night was the Taya Valkyrie against, she wrestled Brian Cage, you know. I don't know what really for. I wasn't paying attention, but she, you know, Brian just beat the hell out of her and put her through every table and every situation she could. And I remember one of the producers was like, one of the executive TV guys, he's just a TV guy. He's not, it was anything to do with the creative of the show. But he was like, oh my God, this is awesome, you know? And I remember me and Ricochet standing next to each other and we were like, this is terrible. And he was like, what do you mean? And we both looked at each other like, well, she's a female.
Yeah.
So now she's kicking out of all of Brian's stuff. So the rest of us, you know, like how
when we lose to it.
Yeah, like how can you say Brian's gonna give you an F5 and then that's the finish? It's like, really? Because this bitch just kicked out of 9 of them through tables and barbed wire, you know, and she's bloodied, and you know, I don't know. It was just one of those things where when certain people don't get it, they don't get it, you know, and this is one of those situations. Is basically what does Darby do next now, right? And what was the point of the spot, and where does the heat go is my question. You know, my big thing on that spot was he was trying to jump on one of the Bucks, right?
Yes.
And they moved, and then he crashed and burned through the glass. Okay. But where does the heat go? What was the point of that in the match? At least when Foley was thrown off the cage, he was thrown off by Undertaker. Right. So the heat goes to Undertaker. You know, when he tried to leave, Undertaker was calling him back. The heat was from somewhere, right? And this was just a big stunt for Darby to say, hey, I do cool things. Let me go do a cool thing.
But all of it is designed for the heat to go on the promotion.
Well, yes, at the end of it, yeah.
Glass under the ring.
Right.
You know, and since everybody knows, you know, I don't want to say, you know, 20-something years ago when Taker threw Foley off the ring, off the cage, we didn't all know this was already bullshit. But now everybody knows it's bullshit.
Yeah, but that's their audience. They've told them that it is because of the way they act. Then right. They expect them to believe something like this, you know, That's why they don't generate heat. That's why no one's buying into it. That's why no one
that's why.
sticks around.
I'm saying that's why it didn't need a place.
No,
In the everybody knows its whole purpose
right,
for being was so Darby can do a stunt
correct.
because Darby does stunts.
Yes,
Because this is all bullshit.
and he did a stunt during Sting's retirement match. Like this ain't
Yes.
even. You're not even the focal point. If you
Right.
wanted some heat, kid, you should have suggested, hey, then Sting turns around and I hit him with the bat.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted some heat, get some heat.
Right.
You wanted to do a stunt, like you're an idiot.
It's just I'm always blown away by the amount of people who work there that should know better and do know better.
That should know better, but guess what? They are not invested in the company, in the product. They don't need to care, bro. The money's there. They're not making it the way other people did, or you have to in another place. You have to care. You have to do it right.
But could you go someplace and work there and honestly take somebody's money and keep your mouth closed about the nonsense? You couldn't do that at VPW when you first came.
I mean, look at the guys that are younger that want it. They know they're not going to get it there, so they're going to leave. And then the old guys that have already been there, done that, they're just in the back thinking, wow, that's crazy. Like, what does Edge think of that? I mean, here's a guy who went and re-innovated pro wrestling on the biggest stage in the world, right? And even he's probably like, you probably shouldn't have done that, because now they're going to expect twice as much next time, right? I mean, even the stupid shit that I did in Lucha Underground, like doing the drop kick off the ladder, getting drop kicked off the ladder, we knew it had to be a step up from what we had done last time, right? But that wasn't my thing. I was just there. I was the target, and I said it needs to be bigger than what we did last time. But I wasn't thinking like, well, who am I going to catch now? Maybe I'll catch Jeff Cobb doing a shooting star press off the ceiling. That was it. I was done with it. It was done. Angelico did it one more time, and then on like 3 or 4 people, and then he was like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. And even we knew, like, we can't keep doing this shit. Like, otherwise that's all people are going to want us to do, and then we never did after that, so it's just, I don't know. You got to be smarter than the fans, really,
Right.
Because if you're thinking like, oh, I did this last time, I got to do it again, then they expect you to do it again. It's the same as New Jack said, once I started jumping off the balcony, I had to go jump off the balcony every night, even he was like, yeah, I fucked that up, but I had to keep doing it.
Right.
Like, it's like, actually you didn't, because you could have got over in a different way. You were already over. What did you do it for? This was not Darby's match to do that in. This was Sting's match. They already did a crazy glass spot. They didn't need that to happen. They didn't. Then he did that, and then at the end of the night, you saw he was fine. He was just up talking to Sting.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Really?
They're already taped up. They taped them up at ringside.
You did that already, that same night? Get out of here. In that building? I find that offensive,
Like, if there could have been a spot to do something where, like, Darby gets hurt and Sting is left to fend for himself for the rest of the match, like, that's cool too.
Right.
But the spot, the heat spot or the stunt didn't need to be, greater than the sum of all the parts.
Right.
It didn't need to be so huge and so dangerous and so for this show, for this crowd, so different than all the shit that they normally do. It aside from it being stupid and dangerous and all that stuff, it completely took away from Sting's moment.
Correct.
And I just saw a clip from Collision from last night where apparently the what are they called? Malachi Black and all of his friends.
House of Black.
Okay. They did a flaming table spot with somebody and they powerbombed the person through the table, but the table legit caught it, like the person was on fire. So they picked the person up to roll him back in the ring while putting the fire out on his back. So it's like you hate the person enough to try and light them on fire. But then once you light them on fire, again, this is all bullshit. So it's like, we better put this fire out. Like it's stuff like that. Like they put themselves in these positions by doing things that they don't need to be doing. And that's AEW in a nutshell.
Yes. Bad AEW. Yes.
All right. Well, you got anything else?
No, AEW's bad. We're done.
They're
still bad.
We could have saved an hour and 6 minutes by just going AEW bad. Good night, folks. We'll see you next time. Oh shit. All right. Well, for Ricky Reyes, I'm Kevin Fulton. Motherfluxxers. We'll catch you later. Gimmick.